who can do this TMS and the training involved to do TMS?
Well, any physician can do TMS. Like, you're still doing something. You need a medical license to do something with it, right? So TMS, there's probably only 3 places in North America that do whole brain TMS, which is unfortunate. So if they were to look up brain frequency, right, that's probably the software that I use to do the whole brain TMS, because it has the assessment, and then we use the treatment to do it. But there's only 3 places, which is crazy when you think about it. And no place in South Africa, I bet. Europe's very early with it because, again, these central nervous system problems, like you see every day. Like, how long you been in practice?
25 years.
Only in the last 3 has this become a problem, right? Where you're like, man, what the hell, right? Like,
Another
at
level.
least have mono or a concussion, have something. But now I have 10-year-olds, right? Like, everybody's on Adderall, every teenage girl's on an antidepressant and birth control pills. Like, we've had such a problem because, again, digitally, we've irritated the nervous system so much that the central nervous system can't keep up. So in the last 3 years, which what I would concur with you, which we'd be like, and everybody seems to have a nervous system that's either wired or tired, right? Nobody has one that's normal anymore. And there's very, very few clinics that actually treat brains as an organ. So anybody can do TMS, anybody could do neurofeedback with a medical license, anybody could do brainstem with a license. All it takes is you
What
got
is
to go and be.
brainstem? Why are you separating them there? You're saying TMS, brainstem, and then electrical stimulation. They're 3 different
Right.
things.
So if I would organize it, and again, people will push back on me, but I would say there's organizing things like biofeedback, right? And then there's a little extra organizing things with neurofeedback. Then there's adding electricity to the brain or stimulating with brainstem, and then adding the most electricity to the brain, which is TMS. So, like, we have these levels of how much electricity or how much organization do we do to the brain. And again, there's going to be very few clinics that actually focus on doing any one of those, which now in the world of mental health, or we'll say brain performance, because I don't want to say mental health, because everybody's like, well, is this in my head? And it's like, no, it's actually in the organ, right? Like, stop doing this, right? Like, we have this where everything is psychology. And then, of course, it's more frustrating because somebody's like, I don't know what's wrong. And they're like, you're depressed. And they're like, I don't really have anything to be depressed about. And then we go into this past life regression to find out, like, who did that to you 5 centuries ago? And then we're doing this meditation with cold plunging to get enlightened and go on a spirit walk. It's like, stop, right? Do an EEG and see the organ doesn't work and treat it. And I guess when you do that, like I said, and you're doing different levels and you're actually treating the brain, that works out great. They can go, if like anybody's really interested for cognitive decline, I have another business called cerebralfit.com. And I don't want to say all it is, but infrared helmets, lighting up the brain and audiovisual entrainment with some cerebral stimulation with ear clips. When you do and you look at studies on like Alzheimer's or cognitive decline, it works pretty well. It's like a treadmill for the heart. Like, it's just going to work. And again, I won't say all we're doing, but again, when you light up the brain and you add electricity and you stimulate the parasympathetic nervous system, ultimately the organ gets better. And that's just cerebralfit.com.
Okay, we're going to do
May
that.
look
We're going to talk
technical.
about that because, South Africa's the second most stressful country to live in the world, according to Bloomberg. We've got real significant issues here just from a safety perspective. We've got sympathetic overdrive like you've never seen before. Just
Right.
from a safety perspective, it's very, very tough. It's survival. It's not about thriving here for most people. It's just survival, and it's higher walls and electricity, electric fences. I mean, it is crazy stuff. It is like the wild, wild west here. But the bottom line is, I think we need to try and move people into the parasympathetic. So you've developed this helmet that is first, it's red light therapy or infrared, and then it's an audio visual, and then is it adding electrical current, or exactly what it is? Because I'm very interested in.
Correct. Yeah. all those. So when you add photons, right? Plus we know red light drains the lymphatic system, which is a lymphatic system in the brain. So when we just do that, it's again lighting up, putting photons in a brain or in an organ, like it increases energy in the cell. When you increase energy in any cell, when it happens to be in the brain, you get it so that it heals and drains faster. So yeah, you drain it, you add photons to it, you put the body in a parasympathetic state. And then we also use an intra to hit all the brain. We use a nasal laser. So we light the entire brain up, works great. And we put the brain in a parasympathetic state. And then voila, again, when you just treat the whole organ or the whole brain, like a lot of things get better. And the amount of research on whole brain light therapy, again, even though in medicine we never use it, is immense. So when you're in South Africa and we have anybody in a sympathetic state and you take them out of it, like the body just naturally recovers, but you have to put that central nervous system in that state.